Good evening and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live via SHR Media and streaming live on Facebook. Today, my guest this hour is Teri Ijeoma. She is a stock trade expert. She's going to talk to us today about how to make $1,000 a day in the stock market. I am very excited to have her on the show today. But first, a brand new Ron Edwards notebook coming your way right about now.
It's bad enough that we the people have to put up with enforced inconveniences that are designed to supposedly protect us. But some government officials are using the coronavirus to literally trample upon our unalienable rights. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, one such official is Mayor Deborah Finan of Champaign, Illinois. Now, she signed an executive order giving her the authority to ban the sale of guns and alcohol, allegedly to address the coronavirus. The Democrat mayor signed the executive order recently declaring a state of emergency in that city. The gun and alcohol ban, which falls under the municipal code, gives the mayor extraordinary powers to enact over a short period of time. The ban also can be utilized to forbid the sale of gasoline, imposing food rationing, and placing price controls. It allows the city government to take property for what officials may dub to be an emergency for a short period of time. It seems like Mayor Deborah Finan of Champaign, Illinois, listened when former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." Here's hoping that the people of Champaign and elsewhere defeat the tyrannical desires of leftists seeking to destroy our God-given rights. I'm Ron Edwards. Check out theronedwards.com for news updates and other great stuff. Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Don't just pass the IRS exams. Why not pass them all and get a solid tax education too? Visit irsexams.school and let the Tax Mama staff get you started today. All our live and self-study tax courses offer you the convenience to study online on your own time and have everything you need to succeed. Tax Mama teaches you tax law, practice, and representation from the ground up. That's irsexams.school. Why wait? Get enrolled today in our premium course or the self-study class. That's irsexams.school. It's way more than just a review course. It will improve your entire future.
And welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. And my guest this hour is Teri Ijeoma. She is a stock trade expert, and she's going to talk to us today about how to make $1,000 a day in the stock market. I'm very excited to have her on the show. And without further ado, Teri Ijeoma, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So before we get into the dirty business that is the stock market, and I only say dirty because it can be very complicated to some people. If you don't know anything about it, it looks very complicated. It's always been given. If you see about stock trading in the movies, it's always given this kind of has a kind of shady reputation. I don't agree with that assessment, but I think that it just has that reputation. Tell my audience a bit about yourself, a bit about your background.
Sure. So I grew up in Texas and went to school at MIT in Massachusetts. And during my time at MIT, I actually interned on Wall Street. So that some people always wonder, like, well, how did you first learn about trading? I interned at Morgan Stanley, and I ended up going a total different route. So I ended up going into consulting and then into the education field for about 10 years. So my last job was actually as an assistant principal of an elementary school. But if anybody knows, after being in education for a while, it can get really tiring. And I got stressed beyond measure by founding the elementary school that I was part of, not even an exit strategy. So I decided to use stocks as my way to exit. If I could just make $300 a day, I could pay for my assistant principal salary. And that's what I did. I started learning how to actively trade stocks to replace my salary. And I was able to quit my job and start traveling around the world trading stocks.
Okay, well, that's the type of plan that I'm on, because I also, in addition to being a insurance broker, I also teach, and that is what I'm trying to do, is get out of the classroom. For the same reason. You can get burnt out. And I don't think, well, maybe some parents are probably starting to get it now.
Oh yeah, they are. Oh yeah, they are. I have so many friends that are like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for my kids to go back to school. Like this this is crazy.
Right. Yeah. So just times that by 25.
Or more, depending on what class you're in.
Or more. half of those with different types of needs. And then you have what teaching is. It's wonderful. Oh, don't forget all the directions and advice and standardized tests and all that fun stuff.
And administration and yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't, but believe me, I can completely understand getting burned out doing something like that. I'm right there with you. And I know a lot of teachers that are right there. They're just barely hanging on. And so you decided if I could do this and make $300 a day, I'm out.
Yes. Yep. And so I started practicing. I took some courses. And as I said, in college, I had kind of heard about the stock market. So I knew that it was something that could be done. I had seen people investing, but I hadn't really done it for myself. And over time, I had started kind of playing with stocks to supplement my income. Like, okay, well, let me see if I could just learn how to invest. And I actually really enjoyed it, but I didn't really know what I was doing until I really needed it to be an income stream. That's when I said, okay, let me get serious. Let me take classes. Let me practice. So every day I would practice and I would work myself up. So at first I was like, let me first just not lose. Let me not be negative. Then it was, okay, let me make $100 a day, then 200, then 300. And at that point, it was like, okay, wait a minute. I don't have to take this from my principal anymore. I got to go. Because it gives you that freedom. Because you're like, okay, I have this extra income on the side that I'm generating for myself. I'm in control of it. So then you start feeling like, well, I get to decide whether to be here or not. And that's the freedom I got from investing.
That's wonderful. So let's start from like step one. What exactly is stock market investing? It sounds like it's something super complicated, and I think there's a lot of mystery behind it. What exactly are you doing when you say, I do stock market investing?
Great question. So what I'm doing is every company that is publicly traded, what that means is they decided that they needed to make some money for their company, whether they wanted to expand or just hire more people. For whatever reason, they needed more money. So they went to one of the big investment banks like Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley, and they said, look, I need to raise money. So we're thinking about selling parts of our company to raise money. And then Goldman Sachs or whatever investment bank they're going to will say, okay, well, we'll figure out an evaluation for your company and we'll divide it into shares and we'll offer that to the public. And the public can buy those shares of your company, and that's how you'll raise money. So that's what basically a stock market is. The companies are raising money, so they give shares of their company away in exchange for money into the company. Now, I will tell you, some people think that because I own 10 shares, I own this company. And in theory, that's true. But really, there's big players like hedge funds and big banks that own substantial amounts of the company. Those really are the ones that are like, okay, I got a moving stake in this company. But we, as the small guys, we can get in too, and we just play along, but we can make money off of the same shares.
Okay, so we may not own, so it has to do with the percentage of the shares that you own. So we may not own 51% or 60% of the company, but we may own our little, 0.5%, 0.5% of the company.
Yep, exactly. We still give our money for one or two of those shares, and they, the company gets that money and we get the shares, and we get to keep that ownership until we sell the shares. And when you ask me, well, Teri, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Well, I'm buying shares of companies and selling shares of companies. And when you buy them, you buy them for a certain price, and the goal is to buy them lower than you sell them. So I buy them low, and then I'll sell them for a higher price, and then I get to keep the difference. that's what I'm doing on a daily basis, just buying and selling shares of companies.
Now that's exciting. And you just do that as a consultant, as an entrepreneur. You do the trading yourself. You don't have somebody else that's trading on your behalf or anything like that.
Correct. I do the trading myself, and anybody can do the trading themselves, especially now, because what you do is you open an online brokerage account, and there's many out there. So we've probably heard of Robinhood, E-Trade. All of those are online brokers, and that just means that they have the ability to exchange shares. So you use the online broker to buy the shares and sell the shares. The one I use is called Tradestation, and people can go to them, tradestation.com. But that's the online broker that I use, and that's what I trade my shares on, buy and sell the shares on.
Now,
anybody can do that.
Did you pick Tradestation? You see, I'm writing this down. People who are watching me on Facebook are like, "What is she doing?" Writing that down. We'll be saving.
Good.
We'll be saving it. Yes. I'm assuming that you with your wealth of information that you have about your wealth of knowledge, I should say, that you have about online trading, you probably went through a couple before you settled on Tradestation.
Yes, so I teach people how to trade now, and one of the classes is literally on how to open a brokerage account, and we go through some of the things that are important about brokerage accounts. So like one of the things you're looking for is you want one with really good customer service, because if you have a question, you want to be able to call and they answer the phone. Another thing that you're looking for is you need them to have really quick entry times, because you all know every second that you lose on a stock, the price might have really vacillated. It might have gone up or down a lot in that quick amount of time. So you want one that can execute your trade quickly. And then you want one that's pretty robust with charts. I'm a technical analysis trader, and I teach students how to read charts. So you need one that has really good charting technology. And then the last one is you want one that has really robust order types. So one thing I think that people don't know about is there's all different types of orders that you can automate in trading. So for those people that are like, I don't have time to sit there and look at the screen, well, we can automate that if you have the right broker.
So if you say, when this stock hits this, I want to buy it. When this stock hits this, I want to sell it. Is that like the automated trading? Got it.
Yes, that's the automated. Yep. And so you don't have to sit there. You can just put that order into the computer and it'll execute for you. Another thing that I see people worried about is, well, Teri, I'm afraid of my risk. I'm afraid of losing. Well, there's an order type called a stop loss that you can put in, and it will take you out of the trade if the stock goes down. But these are like different types of order types, and you want to make sure your brokerage has those order types. So that's why I've chosen Tradestation, because it checks off all of those criteria, and it's one of the best trading platforms that I've found.
And it seems to me it's always one that you haven't necessarily heard of, that's not advertised on TV all the time. Those are usually your better ones, I feel like.
That's true. Yes, I agree with you. And the thing is, Tradestation was built for professional traders. So usually they charge quite a bit for people to get on there. But for me, and you guys can use this too since I'm talking to you all, but if you say that you were referred by me, they give you lower rates to get in. You only have to have $500 to open a brokerage account. The fees are waived. You can do free trade. Usually they don't do that because it's for professional traders, and so the public doesn't know about these kind of things. But I'm bringing it to the masses, so they're like, okay, Teri, if your students or people you talk to come in, we'll
hook you up.
Them in. But you're right. Usually most people don't know about professional platforms like that.
I never heard. I've heard of the other ones, E-Trade and the ones that you see advertised on TV, but I'd never heard of Tradestation. Does she do this? My dad, somebody in the Facey chat, Doug, said, does she do this? My dad, I guess, did that for literally 60 years. And he asked about Tradestation versus Robinhood. Have you ever used Robinhood?
So I have students that have used Robinhood. The one thing I would say is Robinhood doesn't have very good charting. And when I'm trying to figure out the best time to buy a stock, I'm going to look at the chart. A candlestick chart will tell you when are the banks buying and when are the banks selling, and that helps you time your trade. So you may have a great company, but it may not be the right time to invest in that company. You will know that by reading a chart. And Robinhood is not known for its charting. Another thing I would say is recently with all of the market volatility, like Robinhood crashed several times. So you also want one that's a little bit more stable because you don't want to get stuck not being able to get your money out. So I think that it's a good platform for like new novice investors. However, when you're really ready to make some real money and get serious, you need a stronger platform.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. I'm sitting here thinking about a website crashing while you're trying to trade. That is
right.
That's frightening, especially with the volatility in the market such as it is right now.
And it did it several times too. So I know a lot of people that were like, what am I going to do? Like, I can't open it. I can't move my money. If I wanted to invest, I can't invest it. So what I've heard even for that situation is it's always good to have maybe 2 different brokerage accounts where you maybe have your main one, but then you have one on the side. And sometimes I think that's a bit overkill. Like, I like to have like a larger pot in one place so that I can really monitor that account. But then when I thought about it, I do have another account that has a small amount of money so that if anything were to go wrong, I could access it. So it's not bad advice.
Interesting. That is very interesting. I've never heard that, but that makes a lot of sense, especially when anybody who's ever had a bad time with any website. And I would imagine that with the volatility in the market being what it is right now, that people are probably having all kinds of issues through no fault of necessarily through no fault of the software. But when the trading is like it is now, where it's super high, either they're buying up everything or they're selling everything, and it's getting kind of ridiculous.
Yes, and people should know that the reason why stock prices move is because of buyers and sellers. Like, that's the basic understanding of stock market. It's not because of how people feel. It's not because of what's going on in the news. No, the reason why the stock prices are moving is because you have big banks buying a lot of shares and you have big banks selling a lot of shares. So when the stock market
sorry. No, I was going to say, so are you saying that the banks that are buying a lot of shares and selling a lot of shares, that they are not really interested in what's going on in the news? Are you saying that doesn't affect their buying decision, or it really is based on the charts and the economic fundamentals?
Honestly, yes. It's based more on fundamentals and the chart. And the news may help us get it. So here's what I would say. When a big bank is buying, a lot of times they have enough capital so that they can just keep an order in the system for a long time. So some of the movement we saw recently was because we had a lot of bank orders sitting at the place where we had a turnaround in December of 2018. So if you guys remember, the market had come down 20% in December 2018, right before Christmas Eve. That was like the lowest it had been in a long time. Do you remember that?
Right.
It came down 20%.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, right after Christmas, it popped back up. And then the rest of 2019, it was going up. There are a lot of bank orders to buy stocks at low prices that were just sitting in the computer since December 2018. And if you noticed, when we came back recently to some of those levels from December 2018, the market popped back up again, and we had some of those big, like, whipsaw days. Because big banks, they have the ability to just have large orders sitting in the computer for a long time at whatever price they decide. And then when the price comes and hits those places, that's when you see banks buy, and that's when you see the price move. And then same thing for selling. They have prices that they've already decided, okay, this is where we think the price is worth, or this is where we think we'll sell. And they'll have a large order. Okay, we want to sell 500,000 shares of this stock at this price. And when you hit that sell order, that's when the stocks will start falling. And even now, when the news did change, so some things like coronavirus come out of nowhere, but then you have a lot of large hedge funds and banks letting go of shares and selling to raise cash. That's when the stock prices start falling. So yes, it's still the fundamentals of buyers and sellers that are moving the stock prices.
That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. So how much of the what percentage would you say, if you can quantify it this way, I'm not sure, would you say of the market is traded by individual investors like yourself as opposed to the big banks? Like, what percentage would you say are the big banks? Obviously it's a majority, but how big would you say it is? Like, what chunk of the market would you say that they control, so to speak?
I know that actual number is probably out there somewhere, so I don't want to say the wrong number.
Well, no, I'm just asking for a guess.
Okay. I guess in my head, it'd be probably like 70-30 with the banks, because the banks being 70% or more, because they're what's called the market makers. So they're the ones that actually make sure that there's liquidity. They're always on the other side of a trade. So the banks are the ones who make the stocks move.
Right.
So I would say like they're the majority of the trading. And then us, stay at home traders, we're probably a real small percentage of the actual money that's moved on the market.
So how do you treat, I'm just trying to think on a daily basis. So you do this every single day, you buy and trade stocks, and sometimes you set them up, set them based on the information that you find out about the companies. Like, for example, when a new company comes out, there's a new IPO that comes out with a brand new company. Do you make a point of checking that out from the beginning, or do you let it slide? Like, how do you, because there's tons and tons and tons of companies out there. So how do you decide where you're going to put your money?
Great question. So I actually have there's two parts to that question. One is, how do I treat IPOs? And then another one is like, what do I personally invest in?
Right.
So I personally have a list of 30 companies on my watch list that I've been watching for years. And then I trade those 30 companies. And my advice to any trader is that you become a lot more successful when you get good at trading a small number of companies. You don't have to know every company in the world. For me to make $1,000 a day, I can literally trade like two or three of the companies on my watch list every day and make my goal. So really, you don't have to trade a lot of companies to make your goal, and it's good to get more familiar with them. And then the idea, though, of what do I do with IPOs, honestly, I don't trade IPOs when they first come out, because usually there's a pop and then they fall back down. There's so much pent-up demand for that company. Remember, we were talking about buyers and sellers.
Sure.
We have a lot of buyers. It's going to push that stock price up, and it'll pop in the very beginning and come back down. Also, because I'm a technical analysis trader, which means I look at charts, I want to see some data first. I need to see how the stock price is moving over time a little bit before I'm able to see where I want to get into the trade.
And if there's an initial public offering, I used IPO, and I should have, just for people who are brand new to this, for an initial public offering, there's no data.
Right. There's no data. So I want to wait a little while, and someone might say, well, Teri, what's a little while? Well, for me, I want to see a couple of quarters of earnings. I want to see them actually perform. And then I'll start looking for those same, I look for formations in the candlesticks when I'm looking at charts. I'll start looking for those same formations in those charts.
Okay, that makes sense.
Of the initial public offering stock.
That makes sense. I mean, as soon as an IPO comes out, a lot of times you'll hear so much about it. Buy it now, this, that, and the other. And usually it's super high. I feel like it starts out super high.
Yes, or sometimes it'll start out low, but it's just like a house. Have you ever been looking at a house and you see that it's in this great neighborhood, but it's priced really low? They say it's priced to move. And usually that's because they want to get several bids and offers, and then they'll bid the price up, because you have a lot of people come in at that low price, give an offer for the house, and then eventually they'll bid it up in price. That's what they're doing with stocks too sometimes. Sometimes the IPO will be priced even a little lower so that a lot of interest will come, and then they'll bid the price up.
Now, that makes, and that's the kind of knowledge that you need to have in your back pocket before you start investing, I would think.
Yes, and I do think that's why it's so important to take a course. Because there's things that I know over my 10 years of investing where people don't have to make the same mistake that I've made. Even with like a lot of times you see people having FOMO, fear of missing out, and they think they're missing out on a stock that everybody's talking about, and they end up buying at the high. And that's exactly when the bank comes in and sells it and it knocks back down. Like there's so many mistakes that people make, or even not putting in stock, so there's no protection on their trade. Those type of things, like you can learn just by taking the course so that you do have more protection and you're not making the same mistakes that we've made.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. So I'd like to talk a little bit about your course and how it works, what kinds of things that you learn in the course and that type of thing. We're up against the commercial break. You're listening to it, so we can talk about that on the other side of the break.
Sure.
Okay, great. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. I am speaking with Teri Ijeoma. She's a stock trade expert, and she's talking to us about how to make $1,000 a day in the stock market. Very interesting conversation. Pretty much anything you wanted to know, all the ABCs of the stock market, she is teaching us about today. So very excited to have her on the show today. We're going to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Don't just pass the IRS exams. Why not pass them all and get a solid tax education too? Visit irsexams.school and let the Tax Mama staff get you started today. All our live and self-study tax courses offer you the convenience to study online on your own time and have everything you need to succeed. Tax Mama teaches you tax law, practice, and representation from the ground up. That's irsexams.school. Why wait? Get enrolled today in our premium course or the self-study class. That's irsexams.school. It's way more than just a review course. It will improve your entire future.
Is Conservative Talk with Annie, the radio chick you bounce as host and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern sense is common sense.
And we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and we're speaking to Teri Ijeoma. She's a stock trade expert, and she's talking to us about how to make $1,000 a day in the stock market. And welcome back. So you were telling me that you teach how to trade stocks. You teach people how to do this.
Yes,
novices like myself.
Yes. And you had asked me about like what's included in the course. So I did want to just walk you through, and I think too, while I walk you guys through it, I can also give some nuggets that will be helpful for people. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay. So in my full curriculum, it's called the Trade and Travel course, and there's a VIP program that has 7 classes in it. And I think that these 7 things are the most important things for any trader. So no matter like if you take my class or another class, I think this is super important for you to have in your toolkit. So the first class is called Intro to Stocks, and that's where we talk about the overall stock market. And this is where like my novices are like, is it for me? Yes, it's for you. We start from the very beginning. And then we also go over how to pick good companies and how to actually place the trade, how to open your brokerage account and place the trade. One of the key things I think people miss is picking good companies. And there's this myth that if I don't have a lot of money, I should invest in penny stocks. That is not the way to invest. You want to invest in really healthy companies that have good balance sheets. So this is where a fundamental trader, I think, would also align with me as an active trader and say, hey, if we're going to do this, we want to get some of the best companies, and then that's how we're going to build our wealth. So we talk about how to pick good companies. Then the second class is about risk management. Every trader needs to have a good risk management plan. This is different things that you do to protect yourself from losing. And that could include, like, when do you take your trade? We have a reward to risk ratio that we look at. Every trade we take has to have a reward that's 3 times our risk. And we actually calculate that before we even take the trade. Then you need to know how do you get out, like those stop loss orders I was telling you guys about. So there's several risk management steps that I teach in the second class. Then we go into the charts, and this is where I was telling you all about the timing. You got to learn how to read charts so you know how to time your trade correctly. You may have the best company, but it's just not the right time to trade it. Like I was looking at today, at the end of the market today, we had that drop off, and I know that there were some people that were so worried they missed out that they got in at the end of today towards the high, and then saw their money come down because they got in at the wrong time. So reading charts will help you to learn that. Then we go then we talk about my overall trading plan, and I teach them my 7 steps of like, okay, put all those pieces together. These are the 7 things you do each time we take a trade. And that's the first part, which is like the intro trade and travel piece. Then we go into the VIP portion, and this is where you take it up a notch. So this is where we talk about shorting. So how do you make money when the stock market is going down? I had some of my students had their best days these last few weeks when the market's been coming down because they know how to make money when the market's falling. It's called shorting. And then we talk about gaps and Globex trading. So if you guys have seen over the weekend and over some of the nighttime hours, the market, the futures, you hear about it, but futures are going crazy. They've moved such and such amount.
Yes.
We talk about, well, how do you take advantage of that even if you're trading stocks and options? That's what I focus on, stocks and options. And then the last piece is options. So now that you know how to trade the underlying stocks, how do you amplify that with options, which is trading 100 shares of a stock at a time? And so we go through how to trade options. But that's like the whole course. And I think when you're able to do those things, you can really make $1,000 a day. Like we have $1,000 a day club, and we have lots of students in that club, like reaching that club. But that's the pieces that I teach people.
That's amazing. That sounds really comprehensive. And is that online, or how does that work?
Yes, it's all online. So all the classes are recorded, and then we also have weekly coaching calls. So for anybody who's like, okay, I watched the curriculum, but then I need to see and talk to someone, we have weekly group coaching calls. But yeah, it's all online at investwithteri.com. That's the course, Trade and Travel.
Investwithteri.com. I'm putting that in the Facey chat so people can see it. With Teri, TRI.com. Hopefully I did that right. Yeah, I did. Okay.
Thank you.
It popped up so everybody can see it. Investwithteri.com. That really sounds amazing, and it sounds comprehensive. And I've always heard, and I have friends who, you have a show called Money Talk with Melanie. Of course, I have friends who invest and who buy and sell stocks all the time. And it's that this is one area of finance that I haven't been involved in. And my friends tell me that there is a system to it.
Yes, there really is. And if you talk to someone who doesn't have a system, or they're just kind of going on their feelings, then I wouldn't follow their technique. Like the best traders that have consistency are those that have a trading plan. And then they have steps, like these are the things I do. And it's so helpful. It takes the emotion out of it. If you know that, I did all the things that I'm supposed to do, I know that this trade has a higher reward than risk ratio. Like when you have all those things in place, then you take the emotion out and you can just easily trade and have some consistency.
And that's, I think, where people fall off. And it's weird. Why would you even get involved in buying and trading stocks if you're going to be emotional about it? It would seem to me that there's a system somewhere. And I assumed that there was, and that I just didn't know the system.
Yeah, I can see that. But what? I think no matter. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think no matter what, whenever people are dealing with money, emotions get in. And I even see it when we first start, I have the students practice in a simulated account while they're learning. And so they can practice with fake money. And I even see it with that. They're like, I didn't want to take a trade. I'm like, it's fake money. But still, like just the idea of them losing, they're like, no. So anytime you're dealing with money, I think there's some emotions involved. It's about just how do you learn so that you don't have to worry about that as much.
Well, nobody wants to lose, right? Like nobody wants to lose their money. Now, what part of the market you have people who trade every day like you do, and are the banks who are trading, are they trading on behalf of things like people's 401ks and 403bs and things like that?
Well, yes, it depends what bank. So some of them are trading on behalf of like big funds. Like they might be trading on behalf of like the teachers' retirement fund. So they have a large amount of money and a large amount of shares.
Now say that again for the folks in the back. about the teachers' pension funds.
Yes, but yes, the bank may be over that fund, and then they have people trading for that fund, or there might be just them trading for their own money. So like Goldman Sachs, they're a stock too. So a lot of their they have profit and losses. Some of that is based on their trading record. So it really depends what hedge fund and bank you're talking about of who they're trading for.
I heard someone in the financial news say the other day that I can't remember which company it was. I want to say GM, somebody like that. One of the big auto companies was holding their dividends, and that as a result, some people were not going to get paid the money that they expected to get paid.
Yeah. And you know what? That's going to be an issue even now, because I just saw with the stimulus package, they were talking about how if the airlines or some of these companies take loans from the stimulus package, they won't let them have dividends for a year, and they won't let them buy back their company stock. But a lot of times when a company buys back their stock, that's what is helping to increase the stock price. And then the dividends, just imagine if you are in a retirement account that is, has this company for a dividend, and all of a sudden they can't pay dividends anymore for a year. So I think that's actually going to have some impact even with the stimulus package coming up.
Oh yeah, and I think the whole idea is I wonder if anybody on that side of the aisle ever takes an economics class, because they just don't get the whole idea is when companies, I get it. You get people who own companies get rich, stockholders get rich. I get that. But it doesn't mean that the middle class and poorer people do not benefit from that. But they seem to make it out like the poor people don't benefit when companies make money. Well, they do benefit. That's how they keep their jobs. That's how they get raises. So, yeah, that's how you have your wage increases. That's how people hire more people when companies expand and make money. But they seem to always kind of leave that out. It's disappointing sometimes.
It's true. The political conversation can be really, really sticky. On one side, it's like, do we help bail out the companies? And another side is, do we help bail out the people? But both of them are so interconnected. It's hard to do one without the other. It is hard to do one without the other. I think that with the size of this particular plan, they're doing both. I think this one is $2 trillion, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to end up being somewhere in the $6 trillion range. Yeah. Which is, go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, I just wonder, where are they going to get all that money from? Our deficit is going to be so
I was
huge.
getting ready to say, girl, where they're going to get all that money from. They're probably going to get it from China. I shouldn't say that. That's terrible. But they probably are.
That's why I am not a senator or a congressman. That's a hard job, man. That's a hard job.
It is a hard job because we really, it's not like we have this money in the bank somewhere. We're really borrowing that money, and that is not a good thing. And you're right, the deficit is going to be sky high, as if it's not sky high already. But supposedly we're getting that money back. But that's true. Carl in the Facey chat said, when cash is not flowing, everyone is hurting. And that is true. I mean, in this particular situation with the coronavirus, there's no getting out of anything at this point. Everybody's in big trouble. Companies are in big trouble. The people are in big trouble. Everybody's in trouble. And I defy anyone to figure out a better way to get us out of it. I don't think that I'm not sure that there is.
I don't think so. I was even thinking about for the small businesses, like even if we didn't have everybody quarantined, it still would hurt your business if half your staff got sick and then they had to go home anyway because they're sick. So it's kind of like, you either quarantine them while they're healthy in advance, or your business is going to suffer when half your staff can't come in because they're sick. So this is just one of those rocks in the hard place type of situation. There's no easy way to do this.
No, there is no easy way to do this. So tell my audience where they can find you. If they want to sign up for your class, if they want to follow you on social media, or they want to connect with you any other way.
Yes. So if anybody wants to see a full webinar on how to make $1,000 a day, I have a free one at itradeandtravel.com. So itradeandtravel.com. You can see a free webinar on how to make $1,000 a day. And then on Instagram, I'm an investor. And it looks like Imani Investor. So if you start putting in my name, Teri Ijeoma, or Imani Investor, it'll come up. But it's really supposed to be I'm an Investor. And on YouTube, Trade and Travel, and on Facebook, I think it's Invest with Teri. We already put that in there. But yes, if y'all look at any of those places, look for itradeandtravel.com, probably the first place to start, and then you'll find me.
Yep, I put that in the Facey chat, itradeandtravel.com. Excellent. Listen, thank you so much for being on the show today. You did a really great job in walking us through the ins and outs and ABCs of stock trading without having to give away the store, because you teach people how to do this every single day. So that was good. We want you to sign up for her class is what you need to do.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me, Melanie. This was really fun.
This was a great joy for me too. I appreciate you being here, Teri. You have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. I want to thank everybody who's in the chat and listening to the show. Jerry, Carl, Doug, Katina, whoever else I missed. I think I saw Eric in there for a second. Ron Edwards popped in for a second. Thank you for your notebooks. Love you. And remember that all of this is very important. Oh, wait, before I go, I have to thank the tax mama, aka Eva Rosenberg. Don't forget to sign up for, if you want to learn how to do people's taxes, you need to sign up for her class at irsexams.school. Now I'm going to say that you have to remember that all of this is very important, because after all, it's your money. Have a great night.